Hello everyone, my name is Dean, let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is June 6th, 2025, and the altcoin recovery starts now. Do expect a big weekend for altcoins, and I'm going to tell you why. I'm also going to tell you what we can expect from Bitcoin in the immediate short term, how the most recent price action has slightly altered our plans, but not by much. I'm going to go into that, and I'm also going to go more into why exactly altcoins are likely to give us a very strong weekend. If that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get into it. Starting with Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. So our initial target to the downside for Bitcoin was 100K. And one of the reasons why it was a simple read for me was this price action right here extended, right? It seemed as if we were to expect Bitcoin to fall, we would find temporary support at this level, because historically price had shown us that was a level of support, more or less. So our initial target, if you recall, was 100K thereabouts. So when we got here and started retracing, or seemingly retracing, I said that the price had been front run. However, it's likely, or it's not likely, I said it's also possible that within this reversal pattern, we do see a lower low. Now, I did not expect what we got, and I'm going to tell you what I believe is eventually happened based off of the price action. I'm not going to lie and say I expected for us to come down here in the way that we came down here. I also said that the top of this rising broadening wedge would probably serve as some temporary support for the price, but actually the support we experienced was more at the midline of that rising broadening wedge. I didn't expect that. So, it's fine. This happens in analysis. You're not going to get them all, and you have to kind of refine your reads and then keep it moving, right? The name of the game is to try your best and, try and get as clear a picture as possible, and not to be, and let me say this, and I've told myself this quite a lot, don't get discouraged just because you didn't perfectly call it, because that's not the name of the game. The name of the game is to, first and foremost, figure out, is it going up or down? Secondly, if it's going up or down, where are you likely to go? And then, trade accordingly. So that's pretty much it. So yeah, we came down a little lower than I thought, but based off of that, here's what I think is likely to happen next. Let's zoom in. So staying on the 4-hourly time frame, I'm seeing what we've got right here as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, this is an impulse. And what we were in, what I thought was a bottoming consolidation, was a wave 4. It was one of the last intra-wave consolidations of this impulse. So the impulse was indeed correct, that we were in an impulse, but it wasn't finished. Okay, so the wave 4 is close to the end of the impulse, but it's not. And then if you want to measure all of this with Fibonacci, you'll see that the proportions line up. Wave 3 rather is 16182 standard deviations of wave 1. Wave 4 typically comes to between the 236 and the 382 of wave 3, and then wave 5 gives you your 2236 minimum. So everything plays, everything kind of works out. In addition, we also did get our breakdown target. Actually, I think we got a little more, right? Because we said that this was our head and shoulders breakdown and that we should probably find a target here, but we overshot it right there. So, I mean, sometimes that happens. Technical targets in pattern analysis aren't perfect, but we came down, okay? Which is what we anticipated, that we'd come down in an initial move for our larger declension, our larger breakdown, which is still coming. Now, what do we anticipate is likely to happen in the immediate short term? Well, because we broke down in what I believe is a clear 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wave impulse to the downside, the recovery is also clear now, because the recovery must be a 3-wave move to between 0.5 and 618 of this impulse right here, and it should actually take as long as this took to come down to go up, okay? So we can actually, based off of this information, plan accordingly for the recovery. And another thing we know about the recovery, so actually let's bring this down. So this is our new target right here. Another thing we know about the recovery with a high degree of probability is that it's going to matriculate in this way. Wave 4 of the previous trend will be targeted in the initial break of structure, wave A. Then B is likely to come down and fill this in right here. So you're likely to get something like this. Okay, so don't be surprised if we get a move down counter to this, because we need a B wave. And that B wave, again, can look something like this. It can look something like this. It can look a manner of different ways. Just expect some choppy price action in this region, and for the lowest low to be down here somewhere around the midline of this rising broadening wedge, okay? And then finally, we are likely to get a move up into this region around 107 to finalize this retracement. And I guess one of the other really helpful things is, and let's put actual counts, wave counts on this. So I would say this is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. The other thing we know is that with a high degree of probability, if this is pure impulse, which it likely is, based off of our larger analysis, that the 9 days that it took for us to come down in this initial impulse of Bitcoin down to around the 100K region should be approximately the same amount of time it takes for us to retrace. So we're expecting more or less for Bitcoin to take around, so today's the 6th. Today's the 6th, so what is that? 8 more days. So about a week more. A week more. So from, we're Friday, all of next week, just expect for us to play in this region, right? And then finally, towards the end of next week, coming up here. And the timing of this is based off of the theory, if people don't know, that in Elliott wave analysis, typically wave 1 takes around the same time as wave 2, or rather I should say wave 2 takes around the same time as wave 1 to form, and wave 2 typically retraces to between the 0.5 and the 0.618 of wave 1. So that's how we're getting the target, and also that's how we're getting the timing, okay? So we can even put that, and use, like, faithfully represent that here. So something like this, yeah? So this is what we're expecting based off of, again, the idea that this is wave 1 impulse to the downside for our much larger move to between 60 and 70K. And now we need a wave 2. In this time, this week, starting this weekend, do expect altcoins to start that recovery that we've been talking about, that recovery that takes altcoins from multi-year levels of support up and out. So basically, we should expect big moves in altcoins from now, this weekend, until next weekend. So this is what this Bitcoin chart is showing us based off of our analysis. All right, so that's Bitcoin. And again, don't be surprised if this is confusing. That B wave, by definition, is going to be chaotic. It's going to be unpredictable. So it can look a manner of different ways, but it can look like this again. It can look like this. It can look a number of different ways. Don't try to predict how it's going to look. Just know that you're going to form, more likely than not, a lower low, but around the same level, you're just going to come and fill that space with that B wave before your capitulative C wave to complete the corrective pattern. So that's Bitcoin, and that gives us a bit of a perspective. That's the word I'm looking for. Perspective on altcoins. So let's use the total 3 and look at altcoins. So I'm saying altcoins are likely to give you a strong weekend only because they've already started their move. All right, I'm on the hourly time frame. Actually, let's go on the 4-hourly time frame. Apples to apples. And altcoins also went a little lower than expected. All right, we thought that this was going to be held, this rising broadening wedge, and you could say it was held, but you did get a move down below the bottom support that I didn't expect. And it seems that this move is being recovered, meaning this is exactly what you want to see in a bullish recovery. In Wyckoff analysis, it's called a spring, when you go down and recover completely, a V-shaped recovery on the move down, and the move down serves to clean out the order books, to ensure that any sellers, when you look at a bullish recovery spring, any sellers below the visible level of support no longer remain. Okay, so that's basically giving market participants a last-ditch effort or last chance to sell if they wanted to sell at these levels, and now recovering completely and matriculating once again to the next logical resistance, which is going to be here and then here. So ultimately the midline of this 500-day channel. So because of the anatomy of the recovery that we can see on the hourly time frame really clearly on this total 3, you can see this V-shaped recovery is true in so many ways. Don't expect it to stop anytime soon. If it's indeed bullish, which it seems to be, what it's going to do, it's going to break previous highs and then retest those highs as support. So for instance, the first move you can anticipate for this bullish recovery in altcoins is going to be a move all the way to this purple line, and then ultimately turning this previous resistance as support. So you're going to end up with a W Wu-Tang double bottom. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing with the total 3, and that is already, because I could say confidently that we're going to likely see this on the weekend because it's in impulse. And when you're in the impulsive state, interestingly, you don't stop. There's no like stopping and then, consolidating for 100 days or 30 days or whatever. No. You keep going. That's the beauty of it. That's why they call it an impulse. Kind of like Bitcoin. 9 days. That's pretty much all she wrote. 9 days after, next Saturday, I wouldn't expect Bitcoin to do anything but dump super hard. Okay, based off of the fact that we're already in impulse. So the decision, the direction has been chosen. Bitcoin is dumping. You're going to have respite for 9 days while we're in wave 2. After that, consider or expect the initial trend that has been established to continue. Altcoins, conversely, have started moving up impulsively. Don't expect it to stop. Do expect it to retrace intermittently, but don't expect it to stop. This we can expect to go on for about a year, but with intermittent retracements on, flipping previous resistances into new support. But that's why I can confidently say whatever you see here, you're going to continue to see it up and through the weekend. And then once you get to these levels of logical resistance, do expect some retracements and then a continuation, right? So that's what I'm seeing with altcoins. This is very, very, very promising, encouraging for what we have been calling for alt season. All right. Last but not least, our Bitcoin dominance also went higher than expected, right? So good news and bad news. The good news is we are still within the bounds of our pink box. We're still at the region, right? Look also why we kept saying the pink box, the pink box. The pink box was simply a representation of the bottom. Here, let's zoom out for a second. Let me show you, because I don't know how many of you are familiar with this chart. So the pink box at the time it was drawn was supposed to represent the bottom of this rising wedge, this multi-month rising wedge, right? Because all Bitcoin dominance had been in this rising wedge since December of last year. So you're looking at, again, about 180 plus days, 190 days of a rising wedge, which typically breaks down. And having initiated the breakdown from the top of the rising wedge, we were looking for a retracement to the bottom before a big breakdown, okay? So I think you get this big breakdown between now and when Bitcoin does its big breakdown next Saturday, next weekend, okay? Do expect that. But so the pink box was formed based off of the idea that, okay, one, you have a level right here based off of this move down, and two, you have this previous support now turned into resistance. So that's what the pink box represents. If I could make the pink box diagonal, I would, but I can't on TradingView. So it's just a rough approximation of the level I'm trying to represent here. Let's go back on the 4-hourly. So yeah, although we're above the pink box slightly, I hope you understand what the pink box represents. The pink box is just to call the attention to the bottom support now turn resistance of this 190-day rising wedge. So retesting the 100-day rising wedge, you're still kind of doing the same thing. So it's not like Bitcoin dominance is breaking out beyond levels which we initially expected. It's pretty much still where it's been, okay? But we eventually do expect the beginning of that retracement, which on the hourly time frame is really imminent, because if you're looking at this as a pattern, a distribution pattern, you're seeing a first rejection or initial break of structure, a potential counter right here, secondary break of structure, secondary counter, and maybe some sort of pivot here. So you're seeing the Bitcoin dominance test, retest, test, retest, test, retest. There's only so many times you test, retest in a distribution pattern. It's typically 3 times a charm before the ultimate breakdown. So just following the Bitcoin dominance, yes, it went higher than expected. I thought the breakdown was going to be from here, but we're still within the boundaries of where it should be, not to invalidate larger reversal. I just wanted to make that clear. So that's all I'm seeing for Bitcoin, for altcoins. I do expect a bullish weekend for altcoins. And let me just touch on what I brought up in the previous video. I said something about I'm going to keep an eye out for Bitcoin dominance reversing after regular trading hours. So after, like, you know, the traditional US stock market is closed. So let's just keep looking at that. So Monday, I think we already did this one, but oh yeah, this was Labor Day. Okay. This was Saturday. This is Monday, 7 a.m. So let's see. Maybe, let's see. Right now it is 12 UTC. Okay, so it's 12 New York time. So about 5 hours until market close. Maybe we keep playing over here for 5 hours before this big retracement. Let's keep an eye on it. All right, this is useful. You know, any way you can get an edge in these markets is helpful. So there are little things that your eye might catch that you want to keep an eye out for. And if you do get that edge, it would help you time your trades. It will help you time your reads on the market. So that's it from me, guys. Hope this was helpful. Hope this was useful. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider tipping me by Litecoin, Venmo, Cash App, all at the pinned comment below. And do consider my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation service. Also can be signed up to through the link at the pinned comment below. I go one-on-one with you for up to 2 hours every month and help you choose altcoins that are likely to pump in this coming bull market. All right. Also identifying likely levels of support and resistance, where to buy, where to sell to maximize your profit. So you can sign up for that at the pinned comment below. Take care. See you later.
Arrived at the fork in the road, could turn back, repeat the same story, or march forward and embrace change and reflect upon its glory. I'm a selfish man, therein lies the whole problem. Torn between my actions and the will of my heart. I had to take it all apart to see where I stood as a man, to depart from this world and leave it in his hands. Come on.
Looks like I'm heading for the gold, y'all. Touring on a pothole road, y'all. I get it even if I didn't fit in, winning right up to the end, and like I didn't even know, y'all. I have Pop's genetics, working hard never to get it, like shit or better than letting life get the best of my efforts. Instead I dedicated to bettering my steps, measuring investments, watch me do it to the death, y'all.